welcome everyone to the first episode of the Overthinkers podcast, where maybe like you, we've been in our thoughts about a lot, like the MCU taking the most woke nosedive off a cliff since Thanos graced us with his presence, and then all the way to the other side, where game developers rushing projects out like last minute school essays they forgot about to the day of, and then maybe even a little longer, because then they'll put it out half baked and act like it's okay, guys. We'll fix it in another year or so. And I won't take too long to roll out the red carpet for everyone, but we genuinely appreciate any support, especially on the first episode, or any feedback you may have is greatly appreciated. So without further ado, we'll jump right in on the latest news we've been thinking about, and hopefully if you haven't, we can start some conversations. Once again, thanks for watching, guys. I'm your host, Nimbus. I got my co-host with me, LD Lights, here. So we're going to just get right into it. I'm jumping feet first. I honestly, feet first isn't even like, I'm like full body slamming. So we had a Seth the programmer have a bunch of, I wouldn't even call it drama at this point. It's more like allegations. He's having a firing squad at this point.
Yeah.
And really, can you imagine being a power scaler with an ego? That's my first question off rip.
First off,
Off rip.
that's such a
Off
funny
rip.
concept.
Just off rip.
First off, before we get into any of the allegations, that concept to me is just a power
Like,
scaler.
just imagine
talking about the power levels of something, having a big head and an ego. That's what's getting me.
Just imagine like Prince Vegeta wasn't like the Prince of Saiyans. He was like the Prince of Librarians or some shit. But he still walks out to you like, yo, I heard you didn't watch or read Magic Treehouse. We got big problems here, you dumb mother. Like, just starts ripping into you. Like,
Past due dates are done with him. Yo, he would come hunting after
it's
you.
just crazy. It's like if like 50 Cent ran a fucking ice cream shop and was like, yo, y'all dollars short, call the gang. So my main problem with this, I don't even have to go into like all the stuff, the programmer like information or anything.
Sure.
Just because like I was gonna say,
read into it enough.
even if you haven't heard about it, there's like
now.
plenty of places you can go watch and shit about.
And we can't get into those nuances.
But
so
yeah,
just
I'd rather not even talk about most of the fucked up shit he's done. But really, my main point here is it's weird that like YouTubers and like streamers get like this crazy ego. Like, I couldn't even imagine. Like, I'm probably always gonna be just a normal nigga to say like, I'm just gonna be honest. I'm gonna be upfront about it, because like at the end of the day, like, what have you really contributed is my thing that's really confusing, where it's
if
like
anything you've taken away from people, because that's what 20 minutes of their life that they won't get back, that they gave to you by watching the video or whatever, you know what I mean?
and like, I like creating conversations, but really at the end of the day, it should be more for like you and what you're doing.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just,
It should just be, it shouldn't be opinionated, it should just be facts.
I'm
so
just like,
people in the comments or whatever can make their own. You know what I mean?
I just think I think it's interesting to just hear people's perspectives, hear different points of views.
Yeah, just
hear
give them the facts and then let it see what happens.
hear how the community's feeling about certain things. It's just
Changes
it's just crazy how like all of a sudden the community like, I guess, agrees with you a lot. It's like, essentially it's what happens. Yeah. Essentially the community agrees with everything you're saying and they love you now. Gotta close the windows before I record. New York don't know how to be quiet. ASAP Ferg here. Anyway, it's just having a crazy ego with streaming. Even artists, I'm gonna be honest, like musical artists and stuff like that. It's kind of crazy. And now I've seen recently the transition a little bit that the manga community, the anime community has now. I actually want to ask you about this, because they've now taken the superior stance. We've been in the dirt for so long, right?
Yeah.
We've been in the gutter. Yeah. So now manga and anime has been like, okay, they're looking at the industry that's been, running it, the American comic industry.
Yeah.
And they are just unloading. I've seen so many videos, even Comic Storian or Comics Explained, someone posted a video about it where they were like, I've seen a lot like of people saying that comics are dying, and I'm gonna be honest, he just flopped everything on the table. He just went, here's the numbers, here's the stats, here's what manga's doing. They got like 3% of the market. I was sitting there like, okay, well, that's cool, but I think there's a lot of different questions that come with this. So my question to you is, what do you think culturally about manga taking over? Do you think comics are endangered? Do you think they might be in trouble? Or do you think they're on the decline at all? Even if people are watching manga or watching anime and reading manga more, do you think that's gonna hurt comics in the long run? Even like 10 to 20 years down the line.
I mean, having the huge inflation of comics in the early years, in the first place, not even a bad way. It cornered the market in America, but it didn't really help, obviously, manga and anime. But look at the upswing that it's on now. It's just gonna go back and forth. It's just how much content they have. It's just how much different. It's just differences. It's all it really is. People just want that different flavor. We've been getting Superman. We've been getting Batman. We've been getting Spider-Man.
I'll fight you. I'll fight you on only a little bit. Like we have been getting Superman, but that hasn't been doing very well.
No,
Batman.
It's been the same for almost 100 years now.
Batman has been running the numbers up for years and years, and I don't think it'll ever stop. But it's been interesting just because I'm kind of gonna play devil's advocate because in the future I think it's a possibility because animation wise. Anime, hands down, like I can't. The only thing that I can think of is the DC animated run where you had the old Batman Beyond stuff. You had all that good shit. Even going back to like Static Shock and stuff like that. That was definitely the golden age of any superhero animation. But it's definitely interesting to me how the comic industry has gotten this perception that they're in danger, they're not doing very well, because there's a yes and no to that. I feel like, at least in my opinion, I definitely feel like they could make a bounce back, or they could, continue to be on the decline. Like I said, I don't know if things like Batman will ever go away per se. Maybe it could be, transitioned into its own thing if that ever reached that point. That's just a real futuristic idea. But really, it just comes down to how much anime and manga really impact the comic industry, because that's they have an indefinite amount of time, really. Like, it's only going to continue to grow and change. And I think the comics back in the day, the golden age of comics, as everyone calls it, was really centered towards the real world stuff that was like the struggles of the world. Like, we had the Great Depression stuff where they were really just, it was almost just publicity to try and get people's hopes up to get through the Great Depression. So it's definitely interesting to see the comparison to manga to comics and anime to the MCU. And honestly, if you have any comments about if you think comics are in danger, or if anime is going to, stagnate and comics are going to bounce back. I actually think there's a real discussion there, because I don't know if anyone really has the answers. Like, you can pull up the stats. I definitely respect the numbers. Comics, stat-wise, do not look like they're going away at all. But it's definitely weird, lopsided stats, because there's certain ones that you could look at, and it does make it seem like they could go away. And with the newer comics, I think is really the problem. The modern day comics is just, at least in my opinion, where we've gone. It's weird because they're still trying to do the same formula with like the real world problems that they were doing back in the day, where they were dealing with like alcoholism and stuff like that. But now it's reached a point where we're getting too far into real world issues that aren't exactly issues. Like, they're problems, but there's definitely ways I think it could work out more. And that kind of brings me into the MCU, because the MCU is kind of attached to that as well with the comics and stuff. So my other question to the homie here, Really, honestly, have you watched what have you watched from new MCU? I'm not even sure how much you've watched from it. I haven't watched
It's
She-Hulk. I didn't watch any of that. I,
um
I don't even know if you
the
had Disney
last
Plus.
real what follow through full story was when we went to watch Winter Soldier, and
Yeah.
then I fell off and I only watched Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and then Thor Ragnarok.
Thor Ragnarok was really good. I
Because
think
those were
that
the
was
only two that I heard really good things that were worth it.
that's what gave people
And
hope
then
for
Black
Thor
Panther, of
too.
course, but
Yeah.
that
That was definitely I feel
that's a
like
given.
the last really good at least solo Marvel movie we got
That's
was the
Disney
first
side.
Black Panther. Yeah.
Sony, I've been at least a little bit better because that's got Spider Verse, that's
True.
got Venom. I haven't seen Carnage yet, but I've seen the other Spider Man from
And I honestly think Sony has kept a better handle on things, at least
steady.
on the content quality side.
Exactly, they've been steadier.
It hasn't been as much
No,
quality, but it's been at least like a threshold where they keep a standard.
yeah,
Where the MCU is all over the place, where
yeah.
we'll have fantastic ones, but then they'll go She-Hulk levels where it's too much to say the least. It's just too much.
But I also think that's the TV shows. The
I
movies
do
are a
think
little bit
I
different
do think the shortened versions of MCU just does not work because they just rush through it.
because they don't plan it like a movie. They don't treat it like a movie because they don't have a whole first season is just like a build up type of thing, storytelling. It's just all over the place because they're trying to rush through the character in a season.
Yeah, and I think that's really what it should have been is they should have thought of it as a movie, but they're just slicing it up.
Exactly.
Because there's a bunch of movies that if you were just making 20-minute, 30-minute chunks, and you
Yeah.
could just like honestly, if they would have done that with Age of Ultron, I ain't gonna front, I probably would have made it through. But I tried to make it through Age of
One of these
Ultron.
days.
Maybe
One
one
of these
day.
days.
Maybe one day. I honestly, I don't know. There's so many people who used to roast me too. Like, you didn't watch Age of Ultron, but you watched all the rest of them. And I was like, I tried.
Give me a reason why.
I tried. I honestly didn't
That's crazy because that's one of the actual ones that I've seen.
think. And it's crazy because like I'm not really hurting like not watching it. Like
You're
it
not
never.
at all.
I didn't. I wasn't confused by anything
Man, I wish I
afterwards.
was in your situation. It's crazy.
Like nothing really was surprising afterwards after like not watching Age of Ultron. Like, oh, I should have watched that because Age of Ultron's like, no,
It had
no.
no lasting impact,
No.
really, other than it led to Civil War.
And like I feel like a lot of people at first liked it, and then years went on, and they were like, that shit was kind of trash. Like,
Because they got the scope of the rest of them.
yeah, it's been weird lately. I definitely do think the anime is winning, but like I definitely think there's a lot going around where it's been like too rushed and
That's what was the problem with Age of Ultron. Because the first villain over every piece of Marvel, more often than not, was Loki.
yeah.
The Avengers fought Loki the first time, and then who are you going to fight? Just like after they clean house with Thanos. Who are they going to go after?
Loki was a really good villain too, though.
You didn't lead with anybody in the background. You didn't give us a hint on who might be next. So now they're just gonna panic dash into a new thing. That's why Age of Ultron was just a one-off movie. It was after Loki.
Yeah.
What are they gonna do? They did one just long movie that told you everything and then got rid of him all in one movie.
Yeah, I feel like Ultron could have been a better villain, I guess, if you would have put him in multiple movies, maybe split it into a first part or second part,
Yeah.
built up more anticipation. Loki was a good villain until he wasn't type of shit because they built him up so much and then they kind of just threw him away. That was
And
my
then
main
just
problem
made
with him.
a hero.
Yeah,
Most people loved him too
yeah,
much.
they loved Loki because he was such a good villain and stuff, but then they kind of just went, all right, psych, and so it's kind of weird to me. Like I'm okay with it to
Which
a
is
certain
crazy
extent.
because it works with Loki's character in the first place.
Yeah,
Because he can either be, a mischievous god or a helpful god, even back in those days. So of course it's working with his character, but people just love the villain and they love the actor playing him, obviously.
Yeah.
But,
Tom is good.
Just let him just keep playing the villain.
I just think it works better with his character.
Yeah.
They could have done it. It's not like they couldn't have done it because they could have done it further down the line, but they just, like I keep saying, I feel like I'm repeating myself here, but like they keep rushing stuff through, thinking it's gonna work. Just
Part of me thinks that they're gonna do like a rug pull moment with Loki, and then the other one, because there's another timeline Loki. I can't even remember the whole scheme of it.
the TVA Loki.
Like they're not even that. Like even before
I figured because we didn't really watch any of the Disney Plus stuff. I watched Loki, but
there was one with one of the things that I've seen like theories where he got the Tesseract and there's two Lokis running around, all that type of thing.
right.
So what if it's a rough moment,
whole Infinity Loki,
and then it's just evil Loki the whole time, pretending to be a good Loki, and then he's just like, yeah, I got. Now because it's TVA's leaning up to Kang. So what if he's just doing it all just to get to the time?
How do you feel about Ant-Man holding the next phase of Marvel on his shoulders?
Depending on how they do it.
Because you've definitely read more Ant-Man comics than I have, so you know more about him.
Yeah.
Do you think that he has like any potential to really like make the next phase good? Like what possibility, like what routes could they even possibly go?
They for sure do if they follow the comics enough, character-wise.
Which is like a coin flip.
Exactly. Like if they
a really bad coin
if
flip
they just
too.
make him like a new Thor stand-in because Thor's not going to be around for a little bit type of thing because they have to make a new movie.
Well, they kind of trashed Thor, so.
Exactly, because they made him into a joke. They turned him into this ass beater, into this just one line hitter like Deadpool. Yeah. They turned every hero into Deadpool. That's what they did with Ant-Man. Like, yeah, he cracks jokes and everything, but he's still like he'll lead Avengers every now and then. Some of the comics, like they can trust him, but like you look in the movies and it's just like giving a kid your keys.
It's crazy because I just feel like the theme for last year, at least for me, was the rushing of content, and I want to just segue again real quick into games because we're a bit of gamers. I'm more of the Xbox side. He's more of the Nintendo and Sony side. So we're yin and yang with this shit real quick. But I wanted to point out a bunch of games, especially the ones that released the last few years, like Cyberpunk and Halo and stuff, because I was really looking forward to Halo. Everyone listening is, you either love Halo or you don't know about Halo. I feel like there's no in between.
I have no clue about Halo.
And yeah, exactly. That's just
never owned an Xbox in my life.
I had to go right to Halo because they're pretty much pulling a Call of Duty, to say the least, where we're getting battle passes, skin cosmetics. You gotta spend so much money. Someone did the calculations. I saw a video. I might look it up and like post it somewhere in the description with this, because like I saw somewhere where there was like thousands of dollars to get all the cosmetics. The same with like Overwatch and stuff. And I do think at least Nintendo was more solid with that type of shit. Yeah. Where like you at least can go and like we can go play Mario Party on Nintendo and they're not gonna spam you with microtransactions, or you're sitting there just clicking through 300 of them like, please stop.
Literally, they're never gonna make you microtransaction a mushroom.
Like it's kind of wild to me because like obviously there's people who don't have to do that and they do other ways to like hook you in, but like my thing is like there's only a few titles that we look forward to every year, and is there another Mario Kart coming out? Like I'm about to switch over to Nintendo, but then like at the same time there's the content doesn't really, it's like trickle fed. So
every company is like that right now.
Yeah.
Every company.
I feel like Nintendo has always kind of had that a little bit, but like if it's not Mario, then we're gonna wait.
We got the new Legend of Zelda coming out at least.
Hey.
It's gonna be like the Breath of the Wild.
We'll have to talk about that too. We'll talk about that because I'm trying to play that. I'm trying to get a Nintendo console going over here.
Like the only one that's scarily releasing any new stuff that's actually like gonna deliver, because it's always gonna deliver because it's Nintendo. It's always steady.
Yeah.
And you can't even give it to one.
I can't really. I can't pick one. That's why I wanted to bring it up, because in the comments if someone wants to put their preference for console, because like honestly, I think it's all up in the air right
The
now.
only reason before any type of comment pops up for what I said, Nintendo is just a Nintendo company. It pretty much brings no other game in. It just feeds itself. That's why I said
It just
it's
eats
pretty much
itself and
yeah,
keeps
it's
growing.
pretty much
It's
only
weird.
steady content.
Doesn't need nutrients or
Other
anything.
consoles rely on actual games, not just the only. Sony doesn't make just Sony games.
Yeah.
Only Nintendo can have its own back like that.
And I think Sony is more of like the quality side of what Nintendo's trying to do, where they try and stay in their own bubble, but really like push good shit out. But the only other thing with Xbox is this is assuming the Activision deal goes through, and this is kind of one of the last random points, but really I just Call of Duty obviously is one of the biggest ones, and I remember back in the day, this is going back to like old Call of Duty shit where me and the homie here were playing Call of Duty Ghosts, where it wasn't even like the zombies, it was like the aliens back in the day.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
they had you shooting xenomorphs.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so I can't really be too surprised when Call of Duty pulls some shit. But I got gypped, bro. Like I spent $70 on the new Call of Duty this year, and it's February 2nd as of recording this, and we still don't have any content. We still barely have any patches. We still barely have anything for a battle pass that they added, because now everything's delayed. We only had the one battle pass that was trash, and I know I don't even really fuck with battle passes, but if it's the only content I have, it's like might as well put something good in it. So I know this is a lot first episode with the rushing and everything, but I really think that's kind of been the theme of last year. So I'm hoping by recording this, we can hopefully just leave all that. We can finally just bunch it up, throw it back into 2022 and in 2023. Hopefully we get some good content, man. Like I honestly, just to quick wrap this up. Is there any like shows or anything you're looking forward to, or you need animated? I already know of one that I could think of for you if you don't have one.
Oh God, yeah, I can already think of one.
Kaiju.
Yeah,
Kaiju number 8. If for anyone who listens to this, just rep Kaiju number 8. I started reading. Only got a couple chapters in, but I gotta keep reading more. We gotta rep Kaiju number 8 to try and get that in anime, because this shit's quality.
It's already set that they want to make it an anime, but we just need to keep gassing it.
Yeah, you just gotta keep gassing it. You just gotta keep gassing
Just
it.
turn it into the new Jujutsu Kaisen. Just gas it like
That
y'all did.
if
that.
I can contribute anything by this recording, I really just want to gas up some of these manga that need to get pushed, because I feel like Shonen Jump's only big mistake really is they're not pushing enough new manga. They're kind of just animating whatever's just blows up, and then whatever doesn't do instant numbers, they're deleting. And that obviously we're gonna have a whole nother segment for that, because that's a whole nother conversation. And I really do want to just make sure that I have the notes for that, because that honestly, if I had to go through a list of all the manga they've canceled that actually had potential in the past 2 years, it would be really sad. So so we're just not gonna do that right now. And I wanted to end it off of what I'm looking forward to for the year, because there is a lot of good stuff. And off dome for me, Bleach, 1,000 Year Blood War in July. I'm too ready. I'm laced up, double knotted. I'm real ready for the next part. So honestly, if anyone has anything they want to leave in the comments about that too, go ahead.
Let us know what to watch.
Go ahead.
Y'all gassing up, what y'all are looking at.
Honestly, yeah. Any new manga you guys have the gas up, you guys want us to shout out? We'll have a shout out section for manga and any works that we think need more love. So I've been Nimbus. This has been my host LD Lights with me, and it's been the Overthinkers podcast. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for watching yet again.